let me press record now. So two big subjects that I really wanted to touch on first, among the other ones that we'll be doing the next couple of weeks. One was a subject that I think is on the mind of every puppy owner when it comes to getting a puppy, which is socialization, and then one that often I feel gets missed, forgotten, or isn't even, anywhere in the space of what do we do with the pup in the first 18 months. And for me, body language, which is that subject which gets missed a lot, is so important. It's it's so useful for any owner to know what their dog is feeling and is trying to tell them, or other individuals, whether that be dogs or people. So for me, this was, in some ways, it was quite a good avenue for me to try and teach you guys about that body language, because it can make your life with your dog so much easier and make your dog's life so much easier, and can get yourselves out of a lot of trouble and hot water. So we'll first be tackling socialization, then we'll be talking about body language. They are actually quite interlinked, because if you're good at your body language, you'll be better at your socialization. So they link quite nicely together. So socialization, guys, is the subject that every puppy owner certainly has at the back of their mind, and the wonderful thing that is the internet has really tried to ram it down your throats and panic you into thinking, oh my God, I've got to socialize my puppy, I've got to find as many weird people as possible, beards, high vises, glasses, hats. I mean, I tick most of those boxes. Tall, small, different skin colors, different shapes, as many different people as possible, so that my dog is used to the world. And unfortunately, that approach has a lot of pitfalls with it, and it's a little bit ignorant of really what is common sense. So we can blame the internet for that, and we can blame that sort of hype that went over the last sort of 10 years of socialize, to the point where now I actually get a lot of work out of dogs that are over socialized or been socialized badly. So I don't want to see that. Yes, it keeps me in business, which is great, but I would rather be teaching puppy owners like yourselves smart socialization, rather than undoing the damage that the internet has done. And don't get me wrong, I love the internet. I spend way too much time on my computer and my phone, but it is, as I'm sure you know, a bit of a whirlwind of information. You get lots of conflicting stuff, and books as well can be much the same way. How do you know what's a good book? What I always try to sort of make clear and offer to anyone, not even clients, just anyone, is if you're not sure about a piece of information that you've been given about dogs, and it might not even be training, just get in touch. Send me the article, send me the book, and I'll tell you whether it comes from an ethical, scientific basis, or whether it's more along the lines of the rubbish that's out there. It sounds a bit toxic when I say it like that, but there is a lot of rubbish out there based on zero science. So tangent number one. Socialization. So what is it? First and foremost, let's explore what the hell it actually is, because I could kind of ask any individual and they kind of answer a beat, but it's meeting people. Is it? No, not necessarily. It's learning to be appropriate. It's learning to coexist with other beings around you. So it's not limited to dogs and dog to dog. It's humans, it's cats, livestock, horses, birds, budgies. Here's a weird one. My brother lives on a zoo, and his dog is comfortable and socialized with rhinos and tigers and tapirs and all sorts. So it's anything that pretty much is alive and has a social repertoire, if you will, can interact and communicate in some way. So it's really about the living world for your dogs and their relationship with that, or with those individuals in that. So it's really about learning to be appropriate. It's not, and this is what the internet tends to do, it's not running up to everybody and saying hello, because it's not a healthy thing. So we really need to look at what it is to our dogs, what it actually means, and what it's going to mean for the future as well. So for those of you that have already been in my classes, some of you might have been to 1, 2, some of you might be towards the end of them. We don't do very much nose-to-nose play. Well, we don't do any play. We don't do very little nose-to-nose socialization. And there's a very good reason for that. Number one, I know a lot of you guys are already out there doing it, and that's fine. But I want the pups in class to learn that to be around 4 or 5 other dogs and people for that matter, and still kind of go, I don't care what they're doing. I'm here with mum. I'm here with dad. I'm here to spend time with them. And that's really, really important skill for a dog to have if you ever want to train them outside of your house. Because if your dog does not have the skill and the ability to engage with you, to choose you, then how the hell do you train that dog? It's nigh on impossible. So we need to teach them that other dogs exist in the world, other people exist in the world, and that's okay. They're doing their thing, we're doing our thing, we're having a great time. It's not dragging them away, it's your dog choosing you over those other things. So we need to think about the experiences we're putting them through and exposing them to, and make sure that our value is staying nice and high so our dogs just love the hell out of us and kind of want to keep coming back for more. There is always that kind of difference in what people want and expect. And I'm the sort of person, when I go for a walk, I want my dog to focus on me or what I want the dog to do. And that's different for each dog. For my spaniel, I want him sniffing and tracking because these are the things that make him happy if he's not focusing on me. For my collie, I want him working with me at a distance, maybe doing some sort of like herding training, herding type games. But really, I don't want them playing with dogs too much because it starts to devalue me a little bit, and I'm not there to play with the other dogs. It can really affect your recall. I do find situations where I let them play with the dogs, but they're few and far between, and I really want to hammer home to my dogs that I'm the best thing in their lives so that I can train them and they can do the things that I ask of them. Now, there's plenty of people out there, and you may be one of those people that says, I got a dog to be more social so that I can go for walks with friends or go and find new friends, if you will, in the park with my dog to play with. And that's fine. Absolutely fine. No one can tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing with your dog as long as the dog is enjoying it. And it's within the law. But you do need to consider that if you over socialize your dog, you're going to get yourself into hot water at times. You're going to get yourself into trouble at times because suddenly you might not be able to recall your dog. You might not be able to get your dog to walk well on lead. So it can have lots of fallouts by over socializing, by creating too social a dog. Every dog, I believe, should be equipped with the skill to say, nah, I don't fancy this dog, or nah, mum's asked me to come away, dad's asked me to come away, I'll go and do that instead. I'm sure they'll find me a new playmate that's more appropriate. Obviously, they're not going to think that, but they will trust that you've always got the best things for them, whether that's a dog to play with, a person to say hello to, or a game to play with yourselves. So I really, really want to make sure that we are getting that socialization right, so then you've got options in the future of, yes, you can play with that dog now, or sorry, mate, we need to go because we're on a time limit, or excuse me, I think we woke him up, or we're on a time limit, and or maybe that dog's just not appropriate. Dog on lead, reactive dog, aggressive dog, dog that doesn't like other dogs, too big a dog, too small a dog. There's lots of reasons why you might not be able to play with that with certain dogs in the park. And the same goes for people. There are weird people out there that don't like dogs. I think they're called cat people, and we have to respect their choice to not want to interact with dogs. So it's important that our dogs can walk past people and kind of go, just another human being. So that's why we try to put a bit of control on it and a bit of a limit on it, so that when you get past the cute stage where everyone wants to say hello to your dog, and you get to the slightly larger ganglier stage where they're not quite as cute anymore, that your pup's okay with moving past people, and they're taller and heavier, and if they might be jumping up people, that becomes an issue. So really, 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 what I try to hammer home is the right experience rather than the number of experiences, the quality of the experiences. Some of you will have heard me talk about this before. So, as I say, a lot of people are kind of in that, oh my God, socialize the dog before it's too late. It's never too late. If the dog can learn, it can socialize, and it can learn about other dogs and other people. But it's about the quality of the experiences. I could take my little fluffy puppy and give her 6 experiences of dogs outside of the house, outside of its original litter. And every one of those experiences would be calm, chilled, sniffy, and short. Sniff, move on, sniff, move on. Everything went well. No one was too worried. Nothing was too high octane, and we moved on. If those 6 experiences were the only experiences my puppy had in its kind of first year, should we say, or first 6 months for that matter, it's incredibly likely that that is then our dog's association with other dogs. We sniff and we move on. We say a little hello, a nice polite hello, and then we move on. Now, what tends to happen more often than not is actually we find as many dogs as possible, and they're all really varied interactions. And you get some super high octane ones where maybe you've met the cockapoo in the park, which just can't stop bouncing because they're like Tigger on crack. And that's a lot of excitement around other dogs. You've got potentially slightly more nervous ones where it's a too large a dog for that puppy, and it's quite a scary kind of, oh my God, that's a big dog. And you might have, various other ones. You might have some calm ones in there, but again, what's that association becoming for your pup towards other dogs? For me, that becomes a bit of a cocktail of emotions, a little bit of fear, a little bit of butterflies, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of arousal. And a puppy in that sort of state, if you will, in that emotional state, is going to be not as effective, not as the word I want to use, not as chilled as puppy A that just had only good experiences, only calm experiences. So really think about the quality of the experiences you're giving your pup, rather than just going to an experience for the sake of it. Sometimes if I do sort of setups with pups in class for socialization, I'm going to look at both pups and decide whether they're going to be both good for each other. Similar size, similar sort of play style, similar weight, and similar just sort of interactions. Different breeds do things differently. Look at boxers, they love to use their paws. Look at whippets. Whippets might be a bit more bouncy. There's lots of things to consider there. So just because you saw a dog doesn't mean you socialize. And if anything, we need to teach that you saw a dog, who cares? Let's keep going. Let's keep doing our thing. Excuse me one moment. So that right experience. So a good rule to keep to when it comes to socialization. For those of you that have read Easy Peasy Puppy Squeezy by Steve Mann, if those of you haven't, get hold of it. It's a very good book. I can I'll put it in the chat. Squeezy. I think it's got that right, but there's not many books with similar names. So he uses the rule of 5 for his socialization. So he suggests that you say hello to 1 in 5 dogs or 1 in 5 people. My rule often has been 80-20 rule. So 80% of the dogs you see, you move along. 80% of the people you see, you move along. And the other 20%, you might say hello to. And that 20% would be the right dogs or the right people that are going to do the right things. So I might watch that dog before I go up to it and say, well, that dog's having a sniff and a mooch. That dog's chilling out. I've seen that dog interact with the dogs in a really calm way. I think that's the dog for my puppy to meet, because I want my dog to be more like that dog. So take your time. It's not a race. It's not a rush. Find that quality experience. And it might not be every day that you find that dog, and that's absolutely fine. It might be every couple of days you see a dog like that. Every once a week you might see a dog like that. Depends where you live, depends where you walk. So self-restraint can be a really good thing with this type of stuff. And keeping it short and sweet, always be on the move, I find helps. And using your body language to show that you're to show your dog that you're moving away, that you're on the move, that we're going away from that dog, rather than just standing there for half an hour, allowing all the excitement to build up and our dog to think, brilliant, we're staying here, I might as well get comfortable and have a good old play. If we have that sniff and move on, and this is where I like to use long lines, this is where I like to have dogs off lead where possible, so that we can create the distance necessary for a dog to go, oh my God, mum's gone, oh my God, dad's gone, I need to catch up because they're my ride home, they're my ticket for dinner, everything that they do keeps me alive, so I don't want to leave them. Whereas if we just stand there with the dog and then eventually drag them away, it's doing a lot of unwanted stuff for that pup. It's going to create frustration. It's going to create a bit of conflict between yourself and your dog. Whereas you simply moving away, them wanting to go with you because you are everything they require to stay alive in this human world. So sniff and move on, sniff and move. We do a 3 to 5 second rule in class. Now, again, another reason why I don't do puppy to puppy socialization very much is because neither of them knows what they're doing. You're taking two individuals that have 0 to no social skills and don't know how to approach a situation and don't know the dance, the body language necessary to tell the other one, I'm cool, I'm safe, I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm interested. So they're going to go in there a bit crap. It's essentially the equivalent of when me and the wife are at a wedding, which hasn't happened for a while, except for my own wedding, but we didn't dance. But me and my wife are at a wedding. I get quite drunk, becoming a bit of a habit at weddings, but I think it's allowed. And I say to, oh, Charlotte, can I come back? Hold on to that question. Hold on to that question. That is a big tangent for me, Dougie Daycare. So what was I saying? I've gotten drunk and I've said to the wife, I know, let's have a dance, because, you know, when I'm drunk, I dance badly and I don't know how to dance. And my wife hates dancing and she doesn't get that drunk either. And the product of us attempting to dance whilst I'm quite drunk and she's unwilling and is really not a dance. It's not what I had in my head, and the product's just rubbish, and it's not looking good. And that's the same for when you take two puppies. They're like two little drunk people that don't know what they're doing, and one of them is probably going to hit the other one over the face, or nip the wrong place, or jump on the other one. And you might be thinking back to where you've done a little bit of puppy sort of puppy play dates and stuff, where it has gone, oh dear, we've had to break it up and stuff like that. So actually what I want for my drunken self to achieve, or for my wife for that matter, is someone that knows what they're doing. And that is, in this case, a socialization, an adult dog who kind of knows the language, knows the dance, and will have a sniff and a mooch. And again, you know, move on. I went for a walk with my buddy, it sounds really weird. My friend is my best mate, and he's 12 or 13-week-old Labrador puppy. Last week it was, and Miley, her name is. I'm not sure he's in here. He might be here. I don't think he's here. No, he's not here. And I took Jasper, my collie, because I know that he's a dog that doesn't have much interest in other dogs. So whilst we're there, they were just kind of milling about. She was kind of like, oh my God, a new dog, can I be your friend? And he was kind of like, nah, not really, I had a sniff. I'm going to go and do my own thing on the walk. And it was a really good learning curve for her that dogs aren't that interested in her and aren't going to be this high octane thing. So he was a really good example for her to learn from, in the sense that she had a few goes at trying to get his interest, and then clearly she wasn't getting anything from him, and she'd just go and have a sniff. She'd try a couple more times, because, you know, you don't go up to a vending machine, press the buttons, and the chocolate doesn't come out, and go, well, it's not worked, I'll just leave. You have a few more goes. You might rock the machine a little bit, but it was a great experience for her as a calm and relaxing type thing, in an environment as well that was nice and sniffy, so it gave her other options. If we just put them in a closed room together, again, I think she'd have struggled more to not keep trying Jasper, and the result of that would have been he would have told her off, which he's really, really good at. But I don't want to necessarily Dogs telling dogs off isn't a bad thing, providing the communication works, but it's not something I want to keep being rehearsed. I want the puppy to work out for themselves as well. And it's kind of that delicate balance. So in regards to your question, Charlotte, does this mean doggy daycare is about the puppies? Not necessarily. I'm very rarely someone that just says no or yes. Doggy daycare can be great if it's done in a smart way. Now, if I'm honest, there isn't a doggy daycare in this area that does it the way that I would do it. It's something I'd love to do in the future, almost as an experiment, just to see how well it could be done, if I'm honest. I am a bit of a snob, I'm a bit of a dog geek. The thing about doggy daycares is a lot of them are being run because you can make a shed ton of money out of them. And the idea of them is very nice. I'm going to send my dog to play with all the other dogs, but we don't know what experiences our puppy is having there. You're assuming that the staff know what they're doing. In my experience, a lot of them don't. I can give you the names of good daycares. I say good daycares are the better daycares in the area. But I often say to my clients, if you can find an alternative like a dog walker, and maybe leave daycare till a later date when your pup's older and they've developed good social skills, that would be far more appropriate. That being said, there's plenty of dogs that go to daycare and are absolutely fine. It's just me, I'm the one that sees all the ones that aren't, so I'm a bit more of a pessimist when it comes to it, because nobody rings me up and says, Lewis, I'd like to pay you to come over and see how good my dog is with other dogs or how well trained my dog is. I get all the ones that aren't and that are struggling. So I get quite a lot of business from dogs that go to daycare and have issues with being on lead around other dogs, because it's all completely sort of unleashed play. There's no control, not very much management. So it's the diplomatic answer you get and the politician's answer. But again, look at the daycare, look at what your pup's learning there, and see what you think. I would always recommend a dog walker pretty much over daycare, because you can be in a bit more control of what your pup's doing and what your pup's learning with that. And even then, you've got to choose the right dog walker as well. If anyone needs recommendations for good dog walkers, I've got two that I recommend. If anyone wants those details, just get in touch, because they're cracking dog walkers. There is such thing as a good and a bad dog walker, and everything else in between, everyone. So, tangent number 2. So picking the right dogs, as I say, is really important. Taking time to watch them and see, and then picking the right people as well. I mean, feel free to give a hell yeah in the chat or raise your hand, but who since having a puppy, and often it's the Labrador puppies that attract the most attention, they are human magnets. Who's had people run across the road or start the cars, get out of their car to come and say hello to your puppy, or even completely ignored social distancing to come and say hello to your puppy because they're cute. I mean, look at them. Yeah, they do. They draw a crowd. And it's those people that run over and don't ask, or don't sort of even, they almost don't acknowledge that you exist. They just see the puppy and go, oh my God, I must go and smush. I must smush them. I must get my fill. They lose all self-control, people do, around puppies. And this can be a problem, because they get so excited and it creates so much excitement around puppy. And thanks, Louise. Louise said just in privately, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, I would bring Wilson to your doggy daycare lift. Thanks. I mean, it might not happen for several years, Louise, but I'll take that as a encouragement to look into it. So you get attacks almost. You know, people are drawn from miles. It's not puppy, like sharks on blood, and they run over. They don't ask permission, and they get all excited. Oh my God, it's not puppy! And the pup just kind of goes, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Or for some pups, it's really overwhelming, quite scary. So either way, it's not an appropriate way to be with that pup, because the association it's creating for that pup is either strangers are super exciting or amazing, or a little bit scary and weird and strange, and we need to control that. Now, part of me just says, take pepper spray, take a taser with you and keep them at bay. But again, I find keeping on the move, I find not engaging with people too much. For Labrador puppies, I tell you what I love to do, and in fact, I'll put it, and it doesn't have to be specifically for Labrador puppies, but let's just get that link up. For Labrador puppies, I've been recommending that you put a little training coat on them that kind of makes them look like a guide dog, because people seem to control themselves around guide dogs or dogs that appear to be working dogs. They know, don't touch guide dogs. So let's just put that in the chat. I found these on the interweb, and you can customize them to say in training or working dog. You can put anything on there if you want. Same similar color blue to guide dogs, so you know it can just hold back a lot of people. It can get people asking first and get people interacting with you a bit more before they dive in, if you will, and just give you that space that potentially your pup needs to learn. Because that's what we need. We need to control the crazies so that they're not training your dog for you. And that's what they do. A lot of dogs that jump up because strangers kind of go. And I think the larger dog owners amongst you will potentially feel this and will have seen this, where you kind of say, oh, can you just not stroke them or give them attention if they jump up? And I say this classic line, oh, I don't mind. Yes, I know you don't mind, but this dog will be 30, 40 kilos in less than 12 months. And when he jumps up you then, or she jumps up you then you will mind. And now I've got to deal with that. So really, really try and control people. And if you suspect someone is not capable of doing as you ask, just move on. Keep on the move. Your puppy will find it easier to move away if you're on the move. Your puppy will become into the routine of just walking past people and continue on. And if you need to, feed the hell out of them. Make yourself become more interesting than that weirdo, that nutter that's chasing you down the road. When nutters turn up, mom or dad makes loads of awesome food appear, and make them feel amazing for coming away. So right people in the thing, and that goes in the house as well. Who's had guests that come round that your pup gets nuts about because they're the kind of guest that comes in and just gets on the floor and starts rolling around? It's not good. It can be a real issue in the future, particularly when that dog gets bigger and when you just want to have a guest around and you just want to have a chat with them, or just kind of, you know, they might not be dog people, or they just might not be comfortable with having a Labrador on their lap or stuff. We want to make sure that guests are a calm thing. Yeah, they can be interesting. We can have a sniff of them, sit in front of them, and maybe lean on them a little bit and get attention that way. But we want to keep it a calm thing so that the dog can still learn about that experience, because as soon as they get into that fizzy dizzy, oh my god, a new person type stuff, they find it very difficult to learn behaviors that we want, like sit in front of people, like stand on all four paws. So really, really try and keep those experiences. Put the rules on the door, or I tell you what I find works a lot. Stick a cup of tea in their hand as soon as they arrive, and don't give them anywhere to put it down, because as soon as they've got a hot liquid, they have to be a lot more careful and controlled. And you can say to them, you know, please just sit down, acknowledge the pup, but stay calm, stay quiet, stay relaxed, so that the pup can have a sniff. And then you're probably, the best thing to then do is give the pup a Kong, a chew or something like that. How do the vests work with harnesses? That is a cracking question, Jane or Phil. Let's have a look. To be honest with you, you'd probably be able to cut a little hole in for the ring on your harness if you're feeling a little bit DIY-y, arts and crafty. I've not actually used one yet. It's just been what I've recommended. Have a Google. There possibly is other ones out there. My mother-in-law has an assistance dog, and his coat fits over his harness. He has like they're specially made for it. I don't know where they make these ones. These are just ones that I've found, and the best ones I've found so far. But yeah, you could easily cut a hole in that, or allow the lead to slip underneath. You can make it work, I think. You've got a Jack Russell, Jane. you're gonna have to be creative for the rest of your life, because Tegan's creative. So picking the right people is really important. And take a day off. So we talked about, we're not going to find the dogs we want every day, but take a day off and invest value in yourself to your dog, where you can go for a walk where you don't see anyone, or go for a walk where you don't even look for people. You're having that walk, which is all about you and your dog, and spending time in the environment and enjoying it. As I say, it's not a race, and you need to keep your value in your dog, your value to your dog nice and high, so your dog loves you to bits and goes, I just want to do stuff with you. You're the best thing in my life. Because as their confidence builds in the environment, your value sits here. That when you first took them out on that first walk, it was like, whoa, this environment's down here, it's scary, it's weird. But then as they grow and they get older and the confidence builds, this is your value, by the way. Not explain that very well at all. You can get left behind, and you start to disappear a little bit off their radar. Whereas if you are taking walks in quiet places and calm places where you're training, playing games and stuff like that, then your value will keep building as well. So really think about the walks. I will have a little shout out to Louise with Wilson, who has a Schnauzer, and Wilson the Schnauzer. Schnauzers are notoriously noisy breeds and get very, very excited by people and dogs when they appear. And she has done an amazing job of picking the right walks for Wilson to try and maintain that calmness in him, to essentially reduce that barking. That it's not even a bark that they do; it's a squeak to a minimum. So it's not an overused muscle almost. And she goes for the walks that work for Wilson, and she'll jump in the car and she'll go, rather than go for the easy walks where she knows she's going to come across too many people for Wilson. She knows she's going to be potentially setting him up for failure at this really new stage. So really take time to invest value in yourself. And the results that we're seeing from Wilson are wonderful. Like he is awesome on his recall. He's really getting there with it, which is beautiful to see. We've just got to build up Louise's confidence in him. But from what I've seen, he's doing smashing. So there are millions of people everywhere, but there always is. There's plenty of places to go for walks that are quiet. You just need to think about it and experiment with different places. One of the cool things about Sutton Park is there is actually a lot of space to get away from people and reduce that. And if you're not working at the moment, or you can get time away during the middle of the day, it's a lot easier then. Weekends are always going to be the most difficult. Obviously, stay safe. Very important. Note, make sure you're staying safe. Right. So in regards to sorry, I'm just reading some of the messages there. If you've got a nervous puppy, if you've got a puppy that maybe struggles a little bit more with social situations, again, we don't want to push them into that situation. Actually, the exact opposite. We want to give them time to watch before approaching. When we start talking about the body language stuff and you start understanding that more, you'll get very good at that. And to stick an article on here again, if you haven't read this article already, it's one of my favorite ones I've ever typed up and written. Let's have a quick look. It's all about escape and avoidance. And I call this, If I Could Teach a Dog One Thing. And that link as well will take you to, I'll just send it to Louise. Sorry, Louise, I need to send that to everyone. There we go. If I could teach a dog one thing, it would be this. I'd be nuts if I only taught a dog one thing, but it's a really, really important thing. If you're stressed, if you're worried, you will be having the option to leave at any moment. Have a good read of the article, and many of the others in the blog's got loads of stuff in there, just trying to add to it so that you've got that little bit of reading material. I try not to keep my blog posts too long. I try to keep them light-hearted. I try to keep them easier reading, because you're not dog nerds like me. You're not obsessed as such. You might be becoming obsessed, but let's keep it. I wanted to keep it readable, basically. So if you've got a nervous dog, then really take time to give them time to watch, and never be afraid to put your dog out. You always hear the expert part say you should just let them sort it out. Never let them sort it out unless you're confident that they have those social skills. If you can see that there's a 30, 40 kilogram dog running over and he's going to use your little puppy as brakes, hell yes, you're going to scoop your dog up, because what experience is that going to be for your dog? If you've got 5 dogs running over and it seems like a lot, scoop your dog up. It's absolutely fine to do, and if anything, you're reinforcing to your dog that you've got their back. Oh, nice, Jane. I like that. Casablanca Gardens. I've never been there. I think they got fined recently, didn't they, for holding a wedding or something, or a party over people. But I have heard it's really nice, and I've seen a few pictures of it. So I'm actually going to look at that myself for a nice quiet walk. But explore, you know, go and have a look at different places by all means, because it's the only place you're going to find it. I'm someone that needs a lot of quiet walks, particularly for opening my spaniel, and it's taken me a while, but I've found sort of secret places which I won't share with you. But yeah, have those quiet walks where you can invest in yourself. So the other part is, if you've got an excited dog who maybe kangaroos over to other dogs or gets really sort of full on, think about a space with lots of space where you can get distance from them, where you can learn about them at a distance. And this will take a little bit of time, but take out your best treats, help them to feel as good about you as possible, so that your value is increasing, and still look for the right dogs. Right, does anyone have any questions about socialization, guys, before we move on? I'll give you a couple of minutes to type and or unmute yourself. Oh, Lewis, you've got a raised hand. Is that from earlier, or is that I completely missed the raised hand?
Oh yeah, it was just from earlier, Lewis, sorry.
No worries, no worries. I'll lower your hand for you. I completely missed that. It's quite subtle actually when the hand's raised. So any questions, guys, pop them in the chat or unmute yourselves now. I will keep trying to not cover my face up than over my hand. This is very cold, but it's hot chocolate. It's okay. Okay, I'm not seeing anything come in, so we shall move on. I'll give you one more minute, just so I can have another sip of this. Hot chocolate goes strange when it's cold. Very bitty. Tangent number 3. Louise, I'll come back to you on that one, if that's all right. That's something that we can just talk about between us. Graveyards. I know a lot of reactive dog owners that walk in graveyards because you don't see many people. As long as you're not terrified of graveyards like me. So, folks, body language. So body language is one of the most important things I think every dog owner should learn, because for you guys, for anybody, information about how your dog is feeling, about their emotional state, and as a result, we can have a good idea of what their next choice might be and how they're going to deal with a situation. So all behavior pretty much is a product of how that individual feels. If we feel happy, we do a dance, or we smile, or we laugh. If we feel fearful, we will do the things that relieve that fear and also are sort of intrinsically in response to fear. We might shake. Lewis, right, sorry, good question. That was a private message. So Lewis said, I'll probably have a tendency to jump up at other dogs with his paws. Is there something we could practice to stop this? So a lot of that will probably be to do with the approach that you have to other dogs. And what I mean by that is, I mean, you can quickly answer in the chat, Lewis, Louis or Lewis, I can't remember. Is, do you find it's kind of, you're getting dragged over to that other dog? There's a lot of anticipation. It's almost frantic to get over there. We need to actually look at that bit first, because if we remove a lot of that anticipation, we lose a lot of that arousal, then the interaction should be a lot calmer. So by doing stuff like scatter feeding, by doing a slow, spending a bit of time in the distance, then gradually getting closer, learning about each other by vision, by sight first, and scatter feeding here and there, actually we set the dog up for a much calmer activity. So if I ever do two dogs meeting, I will spend 5 minutes and just watching each other, checking each other out, doing a little bit of sniffing, maybe a little break, come back, so that when they come together, it's not complete butterflies. It's I've seen you for a while, know who you are. So try and slow it down. Try and take time with it, so that when it does go up to them, it's not all new, and also their arousal is a lower point. So sniffing, licking, chewing, all these things help to reduce arousal, and can help the puppy then make better choices, calmer choices. I'm not going to say that completely jump up, but it should reduce it a lot. And again, sometimes it's not a bad thing if they've got a dog that will tell them off a little bit for that behaviour. But that's always difficult to find a dog that will do that to the right amount for a puppy, because we need to again investigate: is that dog comfortable telling other dogs off, or is it a complete sort of, oh my god, they've just lost it? We don't want that for our pup. But a little growl or a little nip, just to say, don't do that with me, is fine. And that my collie's very good at that sort of just enough telling off without being unhinged, if you will. So body language, as I say, it's the window into how our dog is thinking and feeling, and that gives us a bit of a tool in terms of. Oh, Mark and Kerry. Questions are coming out now, guys. It's okay, it's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Pick them up if that's what they want. Allow them to watch in your arms for a while first would probably be my first sort of approach. Just out of curiosity, Mark and Kerry, who is your dog, if you don't mind me asking? So what breed? And just to give me an idea of size, basically. Because I think you guys were going to be starting in November, weren't you? A Westie. Yeah, Western. Terriers, a lot of them, very small, and they're living in a giant's world, so they just need to build up that confidence. So don't be afraid of your arms. Walk in an area where there are dogs, and just let your little Westie watch and kind of go, oh, it's actually, they're not that bad. Think of the butterflies you have. If you've ever been on a first date, it can be crushing. It can be very, very scary. And I always imagine for dogs, a lot of greetings with other dogs are kind of like that. And remember, when you're on a first date, you can rationalize it. You know why you're there. A dog doesn't. They just find themselves in a situation. It's like, oh, a new thing, a new person, a new dog. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're safe. We need to take that slowly for your little Westie. And safety in mum or dad's arms is absolutely paramount. So that once you read the article, Mark and Kerry, it will make a lot of sense why you want to pick them up, because you're giving them that escape point. And when a dog understands that they've got a way out, they're more likely to want to spend time in that space, because they know if it ever just gets too much, they can just go, right, I'm done. And actually they'll tend to be more willing to stay there then, because they know they've got as an option rather than a sort of panic, I don't know what to do. So always want to give our dog an out. So yeah, body language. I'm not going to go through with you the actual each individual bits of body language. That would take a long time, and to be honest with you, I just describe them. They go in one ear and out the other. So what I've got for you guys is some videos to watch, 2 of them, and they're not too long, I promise. And what they'll have is examples, which is really, really useful for you guys to visualize it and start to see it in your own dog. So if I just put that in the chat. There we go. So what I recommend, guys, is you copy and paste them now if you can, and put them to one side in the notepad, whether you're on a laptop, or send them to someone on WhatsApp so that you've got them there. If anyone does lose them, just message me and I can send them to you. But those videos are watch them now, unless I'm boring you. But you want to watch them, because if a dog owner knows what their dog is thinking to a degree, has a good idea of how they're feeling or what they're thinking, then you can make informed choices based on what you should do with them next. Whether that's, I think I should pick you up, or I think I should get you out of there, or actually, no, you look like you're feeling confident, you're enjoying this situation, let's do a little bit more. And it just, it informs you, and it allows you to communicate with your dog, because your dog will express its body language towards other dogs, towards yourself, And one of the biggest issues with owners have with their dogs is they don't know why the dog is doing something. They don't know what their dog is trying to tell them. So I think every owner should absolutely have a good understanding of body language. And it happens so quickly, body language. I mean, just like us, we don't realize half the things that we're doing when we do them, and they're generally an expression of how we feel. People that bite their nails, people that I've got a friend that yawns when he comes into a room. He's not the most socially savvy person in the world, and yeah, it's something we've noticed is when he walks in the room, he always yawns, and I don't think he's even aware of it. So there's a lot of body language in humans, but to dogs, this is their number one way of communicating before they start using their voice and before they start getting too noisy. So really, really important that we start to understand that body language so that we can kind of make choices based on that. So, and it happens so quickly. Unfortunately, you wish it'd be so much easier if dogs' body language was more like the classic Brit on holiday that's trying to order a beer and slows their speech down and gets louder. Can I have one beer, please? But it's not. It's constant and it's quick, and you just get better at it. Sometimes it's nice to actually video it and slow it down so that you can see it. But reality is constantly happening, and your dog doesn't think about doing it. It is again a subconscious type thing that just is a product of their emotions. So get up to speed with that. You know, watch those videos a couple of times and start watching your own dog so that you can start to work out what their little ones are, because each dog tends to pick various different things. My collie's a big one for turning his head, sort of to say, "Don't worry about me." It's really, really over the top. It's quite funny to watch actually, but he'll sort of kind of, if another dog looks at him and he kind of wants to say, "Don't worry about me. I'm cool. I'm safe. I'm not here to cause trouble." He'll go like this. And they even do it to people sometimes if he's feeling stressed with what someone's doing. My spaniel is a big yawner. There's a lot of yawning when he's feeling stressed or when he's not getting what he wants and flipping at this dog. You thought a dog could yawn loud. Wait till you hear him yawn. It's incredibly cute as well. And I'm not just saying that as his owner. So get up to speed with them and then start watching your dog and start looking for the signs. Now, a lot of these body language types are stress signals, and you know, a dog always wants to let the world know how they're feeling, which is an amazing thing. Dogs never lie about how they feel. So we're always getting up-to-date information off them. And, you know, if only humans are a bit more like that, but society has created us to be a bit more sort of, don't get too excited, don't enjoy yourself too much, or don't tell the world if you're feeling anxious or fearful. So dogs are cool in the way that they tell us all the time how they're feeling, and they never really lie about it. So when you start to see it and when you start to read your dog well, you can make those choices. And then other dogs as well, because you can say you're taking your dog into a social situation, you can see that other dog is struggling with maybe your dog. You can say, I think I better move my dog away because something could happen now. There could be a bit more of an altercation, a spat of some sort. And it's not nice for that other dog. And also it could have a negative effect on your dog as well then. So it's really, really important. And that's kind of our dog-to-dog body language. Watch the videos and start looking for them. And there is also some human-to-dog type stuff to look out for. So, and there's kind of two aspects to this. So you're human-to-dog in the sense that your dog will give you body language to say when they're feeling stressed. So, I don't know, when you might be giving them a bath, or you might be maybe putting a harness on and they're not comfortable with that, and they're doing avoidance, and then they're doing lip licking, they're doing tenseness and stuff like that. Or maybe someone comes into the house that they're not sure about, a stranger, and they're kind of a bit like, whoa. And that stranger is kind of the kind of person that, don't worry, dogs love me. Oh my God, those people are annoying. Because they're doing all the wrong body language. They're leaning over, they're confrontational. You know, when you see two dogs meet each other, you want to see them go to the back end, sniff the back end a lot, because that's where the information is. That's the non-confrontational stuff, not the head-on collision. Same goes for people and dogs. When you greet a dog, let them sniff you. If they want attention, they'll ask for it. Don't just offer it. And allow them a moment to have a sniff of you. So think about what you're doing with your dog. Try not to stare them in the eyes if it's a dog that you don't know. I can stare at my spaniel as much as I like because we have that relationship. However, if one of you guys came along and just like staring at him, he'd have a problem with it. He'd find it very stressful, and he'd no doubt start showing with his body language that he wasn't comfortable with it, and he'd probably start avoiding you, or give a little woof at you to say, I need space. So think about your own relationship with your dog and your relationship with other strange dogs as well, so that you are not putting them in comfortable situations. And then the other part of body language to think about is actually the evil genius part of your dog that seems to always know what you're about to do. And that is because as humans, as hairless goblins that we are, we're incredibly predictable. So every time we go out, we pretty much do the same stuff. Every time we make a cup, we do it in the same way, we perform the same routine. And when you're a dog and you don't have much else to do other than watch the world, you get very good at working out what the hairless goblins are about to do next. And because of that, sometimes they're ahead of you, they're anticipating what you're going to do before you even realize you were doing it. And you know, that can sometimes be a great thing, can be useful, but it can also be a little bit detrimental as well. So look at your body language. Louise actually messaged privately a minute ago saying, and this kind of relates to body language, and this is where I try to use it to your advantage, is where's it gone? Apologies. Where's it gone? He came back on recall, Lewis. A little bit irrelevant, but when we walked away, it works. And this is where I talk about using your body language on a walk to let your dog know where you're going and what you're doing. If you become predictable on a walk, the dog will know where you are and won't be as inclined to come back. Whereas if they can see you moving, if they can see by your body language you're turning away and leaving, they are far more inclined to go with you. Whereas if your body language is saying, I'm staying here and we're spending time with this dog or this person, that dog is going to follow. I often use my mother-in-law as an example. Hopefully she will never see these videos. But she used to have Oscar, the golden retriever, who was actually an assistance dog, an incredibly well-trained one, but had zero recall with her, simply because she would go for a walk and he would go off and do his thing, and then she'd call him and he'd look back and he'd go, no, I'm doing something here. And then she'd go, right, oh, he's not coming, so I'll go and get him. And she'd start walking through. And it'd just be this whole walk with her following him, going, Oscar, Oscar, Oscar. And I used to quietly sninger to myself. And the reality was, all that's happening was he would know that she was going with him all the time. Recall to him was, that means mum's coming with, because her body language was constantly showing that she was following him. Now, flip that up, when I used to walk him, I used to say Oscar and then walk away. Oscar would follow me around the walk the whole way. And I don't say that smokily. It was just a small change in body language, a small change in behavior that had a massive difference to the walk. So really think about what you're doing with yourselves to teach your dog. Remember, they are incredibly, remember how we teach our dogs. We do it first all visually. We lure them into sits, we lure them into downs, we do this ways, we do all sorts. It's all physical, it's all visual first, and then we start to associate the other stuff with it. The dogs are masters of body language, and they are constantly watching you for little cues about what you're going to do next. So, interesting question, Zena. Nebby seems to really like greeting people and dogs too much, but she really turns her head and body so much that it looks like she's stressed. But she instigates the meeting. It's quite confusing to decipher, for me anyway. Yeah, body language isn't confusing because there's so much happening at once. And what we have to remember, sometimes we force our dogs into social situations where they're not sure what they're supposed to do or how. Again, classic example of a dog, of a pup that hasn't quite learned the repertoire yet, hasn't quite learned how to do the dance of social stuff. So you will get little stress signals in there, little stress signs, even though the dog might be enjoying it. It's just because they're not entirely sure of what they're doing. By all means, film it, send it over, and I'll have a look at it. But look at the product, look at the end result. Does the other dog or other person enjoy it? Does she enjoy it in the sense that she keeps doing it to some extent, but also, she seems calm, her spine is loose, her tail is wagging like a helicopter? Is she remaining calm as well? But I would say video and send it to me, and that's the best way I can kind of decipher it for you, everyone. Right, guys, that is pretty much it for our session. If you have any questions, ask them now before we wrap up. Just whilst you do those questions, I'm going to do a quick little advertisement, if you will. December is coming up, which means it's getting really close to Christmas. And obviously what you guys need in your dog's lives is an advent calendar for your dogs. It's not silly, it's not bad, it's exactly what you need. But I would say that because I'm selling them. No, so these are JR ones, which if for any of you that have bought treats or chews off me know that I only use super high value healthy treats, and this is exactly that. So every day you get 100% chicken, 100% turkey or venison treats, and on Christmas Day you get a pack of sticks of 100% turkey. I mean, it's Christmas Day, it's turkey. So this is kind of like the Harrods of advent calendars for dogs, because there's plenty of awful ones out there where the treats are rubbish. They're very cool. They're £13. You can order them on my website for local delivery or collection, amongst all the other stuff that I sell. If you jump on the website, I should hope that you all know my website by now. I will just put it in the chat, and you just click on the store. Adelaide.co.uk. And there, I'll just send it to Zenit privately. I'm so good at this, aren't I? Right, guys, I shall see you hopefully soon. I'll be in touch with our classes. And next week, we're talking about sleep, routine, and biting and mouthing. It's a huge subject for a lot of people. So please tune in. We'll be doing them at the same times. I'll try and limit it to an hour. I think that's enough of me to have. So it'll be Tuesday night, Friday morning, and Saturday morning, similar sort of times to this, probably 11 a.m. again. And if you can be there, that would be great. And I'll see you guys in the flesh soon. And I'll get those videos done for you. My wife's been in isolation, so I haven't had to take her out to do filming, but hopefully we'll be able to do this weekend. Otherwise, get ordering your Christmas stuff, and I shall see you soon.